Hi, how are you? My name is Alyssa Guiang, and I am excited to share with you my undergraduate honors thesis, Iba Tayo, Filipino Americans as an ethnic subgroup. I'm going to share my screen and pull up my poster. Okay, perfect. And we'll play the slide. Okay. So this is my poster for my thesis, my honors thesis. I was helped by the wonderful Dr. Meredith Weiss. She really helped me formulate my ideas and really guided me in terms of helping me shape my vision for my research. Even when I was beginning to think about my research, I knew that I wanted it to be Filipino-centered because I myself am a Filipino American immigrant and I wanted to shed light on our unique experience, especially in terms of diaspora politics and all the attention that we are giving immigrants and their experiences in recent years. So in my project, I decided to look at Filipino Americans and how they are developing as their own specific ethnic group. So under the umbrella of being Filipino, I would argue that there is a developing sub-ethnic group, ethnic subgroup with the title of Filipino American. And I researched this through 3 different methods. I did a literature review where I looked at the background of the Filipino diaspora and the colonial relations between the United States and the Philippines. And I also looked at other examples of ethnicity being made into a new definition. So for example, one of the groups that I looked at were the Muhajir ethnic and political group in Pakistan. So prior to the creation of Pakistan, the group of people that we now know as the Muhajirs were not their own ethnic group, but it was through political necessity and through common experiences and through common political beliefs and through common projected futures that they are now considered their own ethnic group. They are, I believe, the largest ethnic minority in Pakistan today. So I thought that was a great example to bring up in terms of how an ethnic group can come about and that people who may not seem to have their own grounds for an ethnic group can actually become an ethnic group simply from their shared experiences. And next, I did interviews. I sat down and did 10 interviews with fellow Filipino Americans. I did them in a semi-structured manner. So I did have some guiding questions, but if the interview decided to go into a certain direction, I decided to let it go in the direction it did. And I learned so much. And it was such a pleasure to be able to speak to my other fellow Filipino Americans, specifically Gen Z, my generation, because we have a lot of shared experiences and grievances. And it was really great and eye-opening for both of us, for all of us. And from these 10 interviews, I conducted a survey using Google Forms. Google Forms was a great tool that I was able to use. It let me put my thoughts out and it let me really gather information on a broad basis. I was able to get 30 responses from other Gen Z Filipino Americans, and none of the interviewees and respondents overlapped. So the interviewees were different people from the people who responded to my survey. And my findings can be broken down into 5 different points: seeking ethnic identity, distinction from mainland Filipinos, generational divide, similar protected futures, and diaspora unity. In terms of seeking ethnic identity, it's kind of a unique experience, I would say, to many Filipino Americans when they're trying to assert their ethnic identity, especially here in the US. The Philippines is the only Asian country to have been formally colonized by the United States. So that really brings up an interesting dynamic between the Philippines and migrants from the Philippines and those coming into the US to make a new life for themselves. For a lot of the people that I interviewed and spoke with we kind of fall into this kind of invisible line where sometimes we are perceived as Asian, sometimes Hispanic, sometimes even Pacific Islander. So those identities are ones that we kind of need to sort through for ourselves personally. And that's what I mean when I say seeking ethnic identity. In terms of distinction from mainland Filipinos, a lot of the time when those of us, Generation Z particularly, come back to the Philippines, to our homeland, and see our mainland Filipino counterparts and our family members and everything, we feel very distinct. We feel like we have a completely different life experiences because we do, and we do notice a specific treatment and even being perception of being different, being Filipino American. We are viewed as being Filipino American in the Philippines as opposed to just straight up Filipino. Generational divide refers to the trend in Generation Z responses that I received and how many of the overlaps provide implications on how the Filipino American ethnic subgroup will become even more pronounced in the future. And similar projected future, we can see this in one of the graphs that I noted here is on the second one, figure 3. In the future, I see myself living a majority of my life in America. 100% of the response, all 30 responses noted that most of us, or all of us, were planning to live the majority of our lives in America. And that is one of the indicators of an ethnic group, of an ethnic subgroup. This group of people having similar backgrounds, similar features, similar languages, but also having a similar projected future. In this case, Filipino Americans that I've studied all plan on living our lives in America, in our resettlement country. And the final point, Diaspora Unity, being we simply have a lot of shared experiences that we find comfort in. One of the survey questions I conducted to my peers was whether or not we feel more culturally and ethnically understood or satisfied around Filipino Americans or around mainland Filipinos. And overwhelmingly, the response was more comfort being found with other Filipino Americans. So that united, the sense of being united through the diaspora, especially in the country of the United States, was pronounced. And with those findings, I do believe that there is a salient and progressing Filipino American subgroup. I am more than happy to discuss this even further. My contact information is here in the bottom left corner, aguiang@albany.edu. Thank you so much for checking out my project.